Now,
Pops and the Rican.
Pops and the Rican.
Look at this. Pops and the Rican. The Pops and the Rican. What's the Pops and the Rican?
Look at the top of his head. Look at his head.
Pops and the Rican.
Pops and the Rican.
What's up?
you know, every time you play that intro, and then you got some guy going, "Look at the top of his head." I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so I've lost a little bit of the landscape up there, but
Bro,
do you have to make fun of me
every time? I'm gonna have to every time. I'm sorry. I gotta do what I gotta do, bro. I
That
gotta
hurts both my feelings, you
bro.
know.
I gotta make sure.
Anyway, so hey,
What's up, man?
I don't know what you've been up to.
Bro, I'm excited. I have been working hard to get everything ready because at the end of this month, we finally get to open up. And
Finally,
I'm stoked, bro. I'm stoked about it. So I've been just putting everything out there, making sure everybody knows we're out there, which, by the way, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, you can download our mobile app. And on our mobile app, you can buy advance tickets for this show that's coming up May 29th and the 30th. We're finally open and we're ready to make this happen again, bro. Get back on a horse.
yeah, but you need
Listen.
to understand because
Yes.
of the guidelines that
Right.
that have been set by the government.
Right.
The government,
We're only limited to 40 seats.
the government says
Government.
we can only have 50% of the house, and so
Right.
we only have 40 seats per show, people. So if you want to come to a show,
Get your advance tickets.
download the app,
Download the app.
get on the app, and order your tickets.
Really
so
easy
you
to
have
do.
it, so you know you're safe, and you're not gonna find out later that you didn't get a ticket, and you're gonna cry like a stuck pig because and it's not my fault if you don't get your ticket because I told you download the app, get on and buy your tickets now.
Get on there and buy. That's all we're saying. So just make sure that you download the mobile app because not only can you get advance tickets to the shows that are coming up, we also have Gutty's Gumbo that's going to be happening in June. So
That first weekend of
everything
June.
is starting to roll.
Oh,
We're gonna
man.
take precautions. We got as much hand sanitizer, and we're gonna have everything set so that everybody's gonna have a good time. The seating is gonna be just right, and I just can't wait. I just can't wait to see you guys again. So we want to say, download the mobile app. Make sure you get that. Make sure because not only can you get tickets, but you can also purchase merch. If you want a Gutty's T-shirt, support Gutty's Comedy Club, you can do that. You can also buy our tubies that we've ordered too as well. It's going to help protect your face too as well and look really dope because it's got, of course, I'd say it looks dope because I designed it. But anyways, it's got Gutty's Comedy Club info and merch on there too as well. So you can download that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We already got those launched and people are already buying that, which is great. We also have you can purchase merch. Did I say that? Yeah. You can also support Gutty's Comedy Club as well. For those of you who have given, we're going to say this as much as we possibly can. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. We cannot stress it enough. We could not do this without you guys. You have given, you've supported, we've heard you, and we thank you so much for supporting Gutty's Comedy Club and what we bring to the city of Greenwood and even online now that we're online at Gutty's TV. So subscribe, download, go ahead and click that. Make sure you hit that bell so you're notified when Pops and the Rican is back up. And we're having a good time. We're having a good time.
There's got to be a better way to say that we appreciate somebody from the bottom of your bloody heart.
My bloody heart.
You got this organ that pumps nothing but blood, which is in some places it'll change the rating of your movie if you're showing too much of that blood. And so there's got to be a better way.
We don't want to do that.
So thank you so much the bottom of my brain. I don't know, the bottom of from the bottom, the core of who I am. I don't know, because we can't find a better explanation to say thank you.
Right.
Because,
and so
because of what you guys have done for us, we've been able to maintain and keep moving, and it is just fantastic that you have supported us the way you have, and
Right.
we deeply, deeply appreciate it.
all right, Mike. What's up, Mike? Mike Sweet.
Well, you know,
man, how you doing, man? I'm glad that you're watching Gutty's Comedy Club, Gutty TV, and Pops and Rican show. It's good to see you, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Man, dude, we have a good show today, man.
I'm telling you.
I'm talking about today.
You know, some people may remember before we did all of this fancy online stuff that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
We had this guy on once before. He rolled through town. We did a show down at Joker's, which
Downtown,
unfortunately is kind of
like a hold off state. I believe they just been able to. Everybody's in a state right now where you got to,
Yeah, but our guest that's on tonight, he rolled through for a show down at Joker's,
Yep.
and we were able to connect with him and do an interview with him then.
Yep.
And because we knew he was at home, pretty much just watching YouTube videos, I guess. I really don't know what he was doing because we haven't talked to him yet.
But he also dropped an album too, which we're excited about, man. We'll talk about too as well.
So I was like, hey, we should touch base and see if Paul would like to come back. So without any further ado or to do, we should go ahead and invite him into the room. So help me welcome to the Pops and the Rican show, our good friend, Paul Conyers.
What's good, man?
What's up, guys?
Man,
Yeah, fancy dicks we got here.
bro, we're trying to do something, bro. We're trying to.
You guys are upgrading, man. Good for you.
That's what happens when you leave Steve. You put him locked up in quarantine for too long. All of a sudden, he's like, "Hey, I found some new toys."
You can't stop creativity.
You should
I
see
tell you what,
hey,
man. I've seen worse setups on like the Today Show. This is some good stuff.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, that definitely has spawned innovation since this whole thing. And we're like, look, we're at this place now. We might as well take it. And we've been wanting to do something like this for a while, so it's kind of like pushed us finally. It was like, okay, we can't hold off any longer. We got to get this going. And so I'm stoked that we can at least reach out even now that you're across, states and be able to connect and be on the show. So thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. Or at least for
thank you guys for having me, man.
Sure, no doubt. So how have you been hanging in this whole craziness that we call the new COVID?
Just binging shows and watching my calendar disappear. Had a lot of momentum going into 2020. That is all gone. So oh well.
Right. It is what it is, man. I get it. And it's affected a lot of people. I get it. Yeah, man. I hear you. There's a lot that not just and that's the thing is I don't think it's talked about much. I mean, we got clubs that have gone out, clubs that are completely done.
Yeah.
And you got clubs, and then you got the artists too as well. Like, so everybody who's relied on solely their career in comedy has been affected. And I don't think it's been that big of we're trying to do as much as we can to be a voice in that, because that's something that needs to be said. I mean, you guys deserve, and you're just as essential too, in my opinion. Every single job that's out there is essential. We shouldn't just label one job as essential, but I get what they're saying as far as the necessity, the importance of the health wise. But at the same time, you got waitresses and waiters, and you got businesses like restaurants like down the street that have just shut down after 15 years in the game. And that's scary, man. And I can't imagine how it is, for comedians and entertainers alike. Like, they all have, think about it. We got live shows that have been canceled big time, and bigger stages like theaters and all that. So even like the cinema and stuff, like movie theaters are shutting down. They've shut down completely. So it's almost like there's going to be a whole new way of finding entertainment. And so
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're able to at least get something out of it, and which, by the way, we'll go over too in a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about your album, but I'm glad you're in good health and you're doing well.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, and well said, because it's the lasting effects are going to, are gonna, the shockwave is gonna be felt for a very long time, because it's not just the money that I'm not making today and the clubs or the shows that I was going to be doing today. You got to remember, especially for like if you live in a dense comedy area like I do, like the Bay Area in Northern California. Yeah, I mean, it's great when you get club work or when you get road work, but most of your weekends or most of your work comes from wineries, bars, breweries, theaters, stuff like that. And that stuff isn't that stuff's not going to be guaranteed to come back either. So not only, the clubs some of the clubs aren't going to make it for sure. The smaller ones, the gigantic ones, hopefully will be able to weather the storm. But a lot of the smaller clubs aren't going to make it. And a lot of the bars, like a lot of local scenes aren't going to make it either. So, there's going to be a period of just everybody just kind of starting over, having to cultivate stuff from the ground up. But I assume it'll be the first time that I've ever done anything like this. It won't be the first time for comics that were maybe around like around 9/11 or like old school comics. During the we've had wars where we've had to start economies completely over. So I mean, it's not insurmountable. We could do it, but yeah, I mean, this is definitely going to be it's going to sting for a while. If it ended today, that would still be the case, but it's it's not going anywhere. So
you're right. We're kind of in that same spot right now. It's almost as if we're starting over. It just feels that way. It just feels like, oh man, we're starting over to get that momentum back.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the great thing about what we've been able to do is successfully at least get our name out to the city and get our name out to where our brand is out there and they know that we're out there. And plus we weren't as big and we didn't have, employees or whatnot. So we were lucky to at least have a spot where now we can at least, go back at it as if we were starting over again.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm psyched that you guys get to open up at the end of the month. That's cool.
So Paul, let me ask you this, Paul. Through all of this, are there major changes that you have made in terms of your business model, in terms of how you're trying to stay? You're trying to stay at the top of your game. What changes are you making because of some of the changes that automatically have happened? And we know that we're not looking at normal. We're just looking at life. Yeah. And so what changes have you had to make?
Well, I'm doing Zoom shows, that's for sure. I resisted that for like a couple weeks because I was like, I'm not going to get anything out of this. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's something, like I was trying to explain it to my buddy. I do my podcast with a buddy that I played college basketball with, and I tried to put it in basketball terms. And I was like, hey, it's like if you're a basketball player, you got to get shots up like every day, and sometimes you're just in a space or a time in your life where you just like you don't have a hoop. And I said to him, like, a Zoom comedy show is kind of like if you took like a lopsided ball and you were shooting on like an 8-foot rim. Is it the same? Is it just as good? Not even close. But sometimes you just gotta knock the rust off. And you gotta get some shots up. So that's kind of what it's been like. Honestly, Zoom shows are kind of fun. They have their own appeal. It's it's like eating tofurkey. Right, it's like it's not even close to as good as the real thing.
Right, but you're close. Right,
but you're at least you're getting like a taste, and you're trying to do your set, and like someone like the first time like people couldn't hear my audio for the first like 2 minutes, and then someone forgets their mic is on, and they're like their wife is yelling at them for not taking out the garbage, and the dog's barking, and the toilet's flushing, and all this stuff. So I mean, but it's just that's comedy. It's rarely is it like a nice neat thing. So it's just another thing. It's just another skill to have to get good at. But
it's a different, whole different mentality when you're being heckled by your dog and they flush in the toilet right next to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the wild thing is, like, in Zoom, like, you just have, like, the chat is just there. So it's like you're doing comedy and sitting at the table, like, in the club.
Right.
So, people are like, oh, that was a good one. That was a good one. I like that joke. And he's like, what do you say? I didn't get that. And it's like, all right, well, now I feel like I got to, like, address it because you're saying it like, right to me. And I remember I did my first Zoom show, and I was in this room because this is my office, but I was faced this way. And over here, I've got some of the trophies that I've won from, like, the World Series of Comedy, and the World Series of Comedy, their trophies aren't like a microphone. Like, one is like a women's softball player, one is like a guy doing track, one is a woman doing track. So, like, they just look weird. But people were like heckling me during the show, like in the chat, like, what are the trophies for? And then they were like, most keg stands or something. I guess they thought, well, I look like a frat boy or something. I don't know. But yeah, it was kind of weird. It's kind of odd, but yeah, you better believe that I do all my shows with this blank wall behind me. So
that's it, because they'll pick it out because
they'll pick it out, man.
Totally different. You're right. It's totally different. If you got something going on your face, every single aspect of it is going to be under a microscope because it's video, and it's like, and they're quick to be able. I can say this. You can't kick me. Well, you can kick them out of the Zoom meeting, but at the same time, there's no real real life interaction with the heckler that that a club or somewhere else could bring. It's different.
It would be nice if you're in a club and somebody starts to heckle you, if you could just hit a mute button.
You
could still see them, but you'd be a whole bunch easier to ignore them if you just mute them.
Yeah, we don't know what we have right now because man, we're gonna be at the club and we're like, oh my gosh, I really, really wish there was that delete or block button or just just X them out of the chat, and it's like, wow, I think that is like murder in real life, but.
Right. Going back to what you were saying, like, you have to be able to at least find a way to stay in that groove, because you can lose 2 months away from the stages. That's scary. At least
it's pretty wild.
To not be able to be up there and test it and keep that going is something that's it's scary for a comic. But now that's why when we created Quarantine Comedy, before the whole full shutdown, we were able to bring some comics in, and it was an empty room, but it was only like 6 of us, maybe 4 or 5 of us, and they were still on the stage, and they were able to do a set, and we recorded it, and then we were able to put that on YouTube, and so it's still giving them that feel of, it's not necessarily, you're not getting the response that you want, but everybody in there is supporting, and we're and it's funny jokes anyway, so we're gonna laugh regardless, and it just gave them that feel of, okay, at least I'm not missing it. And then when they totally shut us down, that's when it hurt, because it's like, okay, now they're gonna do stand up in their living room, and that is tough to work that dynamic. So now that we're back open, we can have at least 20 people or 15 people or whatever until the end of the month.
It's something.
Now it's like, okay, at least you got something. We can bring somebody in and do an open mic, and now you have the ability to stay within the parameters of CDC, what they say, and then also at least now you have a stage to be able to get your fix on. So it is important to at least get something out there. So that's cool that you're doing Zoom events too as well. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Paul, you brought up World Series of Comedy, and I know that because of the changes that COVID caused, they've kind of had to adapt. I say it all the time. You don't have to adapt. Survival is optional. But they, I know Joe and the folks from the World Series of Comedy, they had to adapt, and they kind of changed their model for this year anyway to do the video contest.
Yeah.
First of all, I know you were part of that. How'd that come out for you?
Yeah, they had like a video contest where they took like, I don't know, it was like 60 comics or something through 5 shows, and then the top 12 went to the show 6, which was the final. And you just send in like your clip, basically. We're doing the set in front of like everybody, which was nice. But you just sent your clip, and if they liked it, you moved on to the finals, and then the finals, blah blah blah. I ended up placing 3rd overall in the overall contest, so that was very cool. Very very nice honor, and it was great. I mean, yeah, they're doing their best too. I mean, this is prime satellite season for the World Series of Comedy. They should be all over the country right
All
now,
over, right?
racking up the
Right.
miles,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not. So I know that they're hoping that they can jump back in and do a few satellites in like July and maybe August. I don't know, and then maybe they have to push the main event back. Maybe that's the case. I don't know, but yeah, I mean they're doing their best, and yeah, I was talking with Jason yesterday, the VP, just kind of about all that stuff. So yeah, we'll see, man. They're like everybody else. I mean, their model is predicated on going to all these different clubs, and so they've got to adhere to different regions and different stay-at-home policies and all sorts of different
That's true.
stuff. So
Man,
yeah, I mean they've got a lot to keep up with.
Yep.
Well, congratulations for the video contest of.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Now, do you get another trophy? Are you going to have that on your showcase back there behind you?
No, they Venmo'd me. Best trophy I've ever gotten.
Nice.
So I was okay with that. These things have they have no monetary value whatsoever. I don't know what kind of money you're going to get
That's
from
awesome.
a 3rd place finish with a girl playing softball with a terrible batting stance. I mean,
that's horrible.
dude. This is the kid. This is the kid that like you'd put like 8th in the lineup just because you're like, oh my gosh, like I know this kid's an easy out, and he's a liability. You got to put him in right field.
Everybody in.
Yep.
Yeah, every coach out there was saying, "Do we have to put that Thule kid in? Come on!"
Everybody get in.
And
Easy
that
out.
still hurts.
That's crazy, dude. All right, man. So let's go over something I wanted to talk to you about. You have a new comedy album out called Above the Fray.
Yeah, the debut album, man. Just speaking of World Series of Comedy, I mean, yeah, it wouldn't have happened without them. So I give a huge debt of gratitude to those guys for everything, because they put me in front of the right people, and I was able to get this going. So yeah, we actually recorded the album last November, and so yeah, it's been kind of just sort of sitting there, and they were like mixing and mastering a couple other albums, and then we were like working out some creative stuff, and so I was psyched when I got the release date, and it was last Friday, the 8th. And so, yeah, I was just so proud to get it out finally, and actually just push a whole, it's nice to be able to it's scary a little bit, but because normally you send a clip and it's like, hey, that's 5 minutes. I got more than that. But you send an album, you're like, well, this is it. This is as hard as I throw.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So
you don't like it. You don't like me.
Right.
As a comic.
Right. Exactly.
Person.
Right. How long did it take you to get that together?
You like all the material?
Yeah. Like how long was the process for you to get to that place? And then you were like, okay, you know what? It's time. I'm gonna record this in, because once you record that, it's galvanized. It's like it's done.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And I mean, any comedian will tell you, like we hate like watching our set from just a few months ago, because you want to like tell people like, now I have a tag, this part, I know it's not funny here, but it's better. Like I wrote a tag and it's so much better now, because you're always working on them. So the way that it happened for me was I met my producer from Uproar Entertainment. I met him at the World Series of Comedy in 2018.
Okay.
He kind of was talking to me after the show, and he was like, how much time do you have? And I was like, I don't know, a half hour. And he was like, okay, call me when you got 45. And I was like, okay, interesting. I mean, he'd only seen me do like 8 or 9 minutes. So I thought that was quite a leap of faith. And then he actually messaged me last April. So gosh, yeah, a year ago.
Wow.
And he was like, how much time you got? And I was like, I think I got the 45. And he was like, okay, well, here's my offer. And I was like, geez, okay. And so I did it. I signed it, but I still was like, you know, I was like, when are you going to want to record this? Because, you know, I have the guts of what I want to do, but like,
Right.
I am not gonna record something that I don't feel is absolutely 100% ready,
Right.
or at least as ready as it's gonna be. And he was like, "We can take as much time as you want." And I was like, "Okay, well that's great." And my initial thought was like, "All right, I'm not gonna want to record for at least a year." And then you know, we were kind of moving along, and you know, I really started pushing towards kind of sharpening those edges and just like cutting the fat of all the jokes that I really needed to work on. And I wrote, you know, just so happened that I wrote some brand new stuff that didn't exist before I signed the album, and that ended up on the album. Some stuff that I thought was going to be there that didn't end up being on the album. And it's just like all that mishmash just took. I mean, truth be told, it took since I started comedy. So it was you know, I was just over 3 years when I recorded the album. So it took 3 years, but I would say the full like when the album had my full attention from like April, and I'd say really like seriously June until November. Like that's when I knew June to November is when like, okay, like I have the basic idea of like, here's everything that's going to be on the album. Now write every word out on your computer. And I do that usually. And it was just constantly just, you know, just taking stuff up that I knew wasn't going to work and just working it out at shows over and over and over again and trying to find the highest leverage stuff. And then finally, having something that was ready to go. But I mean, I those last, from like July to November, I was just a machine.
That's a trip.
Just every day, every single show was for a purpose. Every mic that I went to, I was still like working stuff out that was going to be on the album. It was the hardest I've ever worked on anything in my life. Which isn't saying much because I was a C student, but
right, still no. But the thing is, that's the whole what I wanted to hear is because you had a purpose, because you were like, you know what, I have this in front of me now, I'm gonna make an album.
Yeah,
now, it's a totally different approach when you're going to these clubs. It's not, well, you know, I'm just gonna try to work this out and just hustle and get as many shows as I can. But this time it was a different purpose, which, by the way, when I saw you at Joker's, it felt that way. It felt like you were up there to prove something. Like you were there to like establish yourself. It wasn't like, hey, I'm up here and I'm having a good time, which you did. But at the same time, it just seemed like there was something about your set that you were serious about. You're like, look, I don't know about y'all, but I'm hustling to make this work. And your attitude towards it and how ridiculously commanding you were on that stage, it just there was something about your set that was like, okay, this cat's onto something. And then when you launched your album, it was like, okay. And to hear it from you, it's a totally different mindset when you have a purpose, a focus in mind. Okay, now at least they can, like comics who are watching now and people those who follow us, they can say, it may not be an album, but at least I'm having a different attitude towards my first 15 minutes.
Exactly. That's you have to go in with like a goal, a mindset. Like, what are you trying to accomplish? And that's that's something. It doesn't have to be like an album, you don't have to, or a Netflix special or a Conan appearance or whatever. But you have to identify like, hey, what am I trying to get out of this set, this show, this mic, or whatever. And that's the thing that I try to teach like comics that kind of come after me that sometimes ask me like, hey man, like you seem to have your stuff together. Like what, what should you be doing? And I told him, like, I remember, I was like maybe 7-8 months in, and that's kind of when like things start rolling for you, like locally, you start picking up like bar shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, I had this mindset of like, wow, I'm doing like 3 or 4 bar shows like a week. I'm killing it right now. And I stopped taking mics seriously. And so like for 6 months, I would just kind of go there and I would just like, kind of talk trash to like my friends that were like, I would just make fun of like the last guy's, or not make fun of, but like riff on the last guy's set or whatever was going on in the bar or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm not getting like any better. And I remember specifically, like it hit me. I went to this mic that I go to all the time, and I was there, and I was like, wait a second, like I don't have anything like prepared. Like I have a million things I need to work on, but I don't. So I went up there, and I was like, oh, I guess I'm gonna try. And I mean, mics are a tough gig anyway, because everyone's watching their notebook, they're not paying attention. But when you're like not prepared, and I remember that I was like, man, this is not working. So I was like, I need to start taking this seriously. And so I started really like treating mics like shows, and like, hey, what am I gonna try to accomplish in this mic? It doesn't matter if it could be completely new, brand new stuff. And then there's nothing wrong with like trying to make a riff on, like, if there's something crazy that happened, there's something going on, the Oscars are on in the background or something like that. That's good practice. You need to be able to address what's going on in the club if something outside of your control happens, and that's great. But when that's all you're doing is just kind of going up there and shooting it like, what's going on, what kind of shirt are you wearing, or it's like, if that's not your thing, then and it's not my thing. I'm much more cerebral in what I talk about on stage. When I riff, it's like because I meant to riff at that particular spot. Usually I'm just very like laser focused like that. So it didn't match what I was trying to accomplish. So
it definitely helps to make sure that you are in the moment, so that you have to address what's going on in the moment. Otherwise the audience is going, this is pretty much a play.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got his stuff so well scripted that he's not really here in the same moment. He didn't notice that stuff right now.
It doesn't feel genuine and everything. And I mean, we're all, we've all done a hell gig where, it's like, it's a bar where like nobody's listening, and you can't just like go up there and just be so laser focused. Like you have to be able to adapt to the situation. Like, I mean, last year, or I guess it must have been the year before, but it was there was that Monday Night Football game where the Chiefs played the Rams, and it was like the greatest game ever. Like the game ended like it was like 54-53 or something was the final score. It was insane. Yeah. And I was headlining a bar show that night, and the game was like the last 2 minutes were on the screen, like right next to me. And I would do.
This is the worst.
I would do a little bit of my set. I would like talk about the game. I would like if there was like a penalty, I would try to like riff on that. And I remember like the Chiefs like lost. They turned the ball over for like the 3rd time or something. And I said something like, how many times are the Chiefs going to lose this game during my set? And it got like a huge laugh because, people knew like, all right, is he going to end his set, or is this game going to be over? Because like, we can't pay attention to both, and it worked out like really well for me. So
that's the thing, is that's what we had an interview with which actually will be up with Bone Hampton, and it was about being in the spot, like being in the place right now, being here, be right here. Don't leave or anything. And if anything happens, address it. Like you need to, because everybody else is thinking the same thing. Right. And the thing is, when you jump into it, you're gonna be in their mind too, and that creates a whole nother playground for you. You're good with riffing, and you're good with just joking around. It's just like if you're with your boys and you saw something crazy happen, you're gonna address it.
Yeah.
And when you do address it, then more jokes come on and tags come on, and you're just joking and having a good time. Because then it presents itself to be more natural Says, because if you don't address somebody just dropping a huge plate of whatever, then it's weird. It just weird. Even if you just say, oh, that's horrible, you could just at least address it and keep going, because everybody will then stay with you.
And that's when it's fun.
Yeah,
like that's when shows are like really, really fun. I think when you guys saw me at Joker's, I think you saw me on the Saturday show, which was like I still to this day, that's probably one of my top 10 favorite sets I've ever done. It was so much fun. Yeah. But I mean, I started the show riffing about how my car got towed the night before, which it did because I parked on that street that apparently you're never supposed to park at. But then I was talking about like, hypothetical situations and like, would you do this for $1 billion or whatever? And like, I remember this woman was like, hell yeah. And I mean, the crowd just went nuts and I just like high-fived. I was like, this is so much fun. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that was the same night that Steve's car got towed on that street. They were out there collecting a lot of payroll for the city of Indianapolis that week
in the rain.
Okay,
so
and I'm sorry. Do they like what is wrong with it? It was South whatever street. I don't know. I mean, but it was the street that Joker's Indy, rest in peace, or hopefully it's coming back soon, was on. But dude, like I remember like. I fed the meter. The meter was like it was blinking green. It was like you got 5 hours or whatever. I was like, great, But like then I like we were up in the upstairs and I was like, man, there's like 5 tow trucks outside. And I was like, I'm just gonna go make sure that my car's okay. And
got it.
I went outside and like the cop was like standing there like super proud, and I was like, hey, did you guys tow the car that was in that spot? He was like, oh, you're damn right I did. I was like, why? Well, why?
He was
like, nobody reads the signs. Nobody reads the signs. And do you remember like where that sign was? It's at the bottom on the ground on this little 6-inch little placard that's like, don't park here on Fridays and Saturdays from like 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. And I was like, man, you guys, look, if you guys have a quota, I understand, but you're being disingenuous right now.
Dude, I trust. I mean, where I parked actually was legit. But
oh, really?
Yeah, but the thing is, they were going around, and unfortunately, I did not get my stickers for the plates.
Oh,
so they were like, "Well, I'm towing this bad boy," and
and
I was like, "Dang, man, this is." They weren't playing.
Dude, I'll tell you what, that cop. I've never been happier with a comedy set than this guy was at towing like all these. He was so psyched.
He was awesome.
Yeah, you go down to Auto Recovery Indianapolis, you tell him Officer blah 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 sent you. I was like, man, this dude is the LeBron James.
Yeah. He wanted everybody there.
He loves it.
He wanted everybody there to know that he was the one that got all those people. So, hey, Paul, let me ask you this: talking about your album, because we get asked a lot of times, young comics that are, jumping into the game, they want to know, hey, when should I do my album? How should I do my album?
Yeah.
Should I do an album? What if they have a lot of questions. So, with your agreement, who's doing the distribution and all of that? How's that being taken care of? Is that who you signed with? Are they doing that? Do you have to worry about that? What are some of the things that you have to think about when it comes to the backside? Once the album's done, it's done, it's dropped, everybody knows it's there. But where's the fulfillment side of that? Who's in charge of that?
Yeah, so that fortunately, that's one of the reasons why I was happy to sign with somebody, because they handle like all of that, and my producer has, like really good relationships with like Sirius and Pandora and stuff. And that was sort of his selling point, was like, hey, listen, you're, taking a flyer on you. You're not known, but I think you've got a lot of potential, and I can get your stuff, we'll have a chance to get played on streaming services. And like, yeah, that sounds great. And the way that the pay structure is now for streaming services, like you can make good money when your stuff is getting consistently played, especially if you have like multiple tracks that are played on multiple platforms. If you can get Sirius and Pandora, I mean that's good stuff. Yeah, and it's actually, it could get even better. And this is not my area of expertise, but with the there, I guess there's a law that's being proposed that that comedians can get writing royalties also on streaming if something passes. Because right now, like an artist, you can like cover a song, you can cover like a Zeppelin song or something, and if it plays on Pandora or something, like I think you can get royalties, but they get royalties as the artist. Right. Or if you have someone write your song for you, your writer gets a song. But I guess up until now, comedians weren't thought of as writers because it's like a performance or something. But I think I heard like somebody in the game is like trying to change that, like someone that's like really close to the streaming services that has connections. So I don't know, hopefully that'll change. But yeah, the point is like you can make good money. I mean, I'll be like splitting that money with the company that signed me. So I guess that's like the give and take of of making these deals. But it's like Shark Tank, I guess. It's like, right. would you have this opportunity without Mark Cuban? Probably not. So half of they always say on the show, like half of $1 million is better than 100% of $0. So
right, yeah, that makes sense.
I have been asked a number of times about should I have an agent or should I sign with a bureau of some sort, and I will tell you, the only thing that I always mandated was that I wasn't going to sign exclusively with anybody, because then if I had a gig show up, let's just say you called me and said, hey, I got this gig for you, and the agency didn't do any of it, but they got paid on that gig. If I was an exclusive artist with them,
right?
So I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But at the same time, there were a number of agencies and that would say, hey, we'd like to sign you to a non-exclusive, which meant they were putting my name in with 20 or 30 or 40 other comics, and they may or may not get me a gig. But I always said, hey, if I can help you get rich by you making me rich, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm perfectly okay with that. So, yeah.
You bring me a show that I don't already have, you're putting some money in my pocket. If you do that, let's make it happen, But so that's kind of exactly with where you are, they're getting paid off of your work, but they're giving you the exposure and they're taking care of the fulfillment side of things. So that's something you don't have to worry about if they're doing that. So it truly is a win-win situation. They're going to
Yeah, I mean, it's about finding the right partnership for sure. I mean, I'm sure there are, there's good management, representation, agents, producers out there, and there's bad. So it's up to you to like do your due diligence. And I mean, I took like 3 weeks when I signed both with my label and when I signed with my manager, and both of them were like, are you not interested? I was like, no, I'm just doing like my due diligence and just making sure everything, makes sense for me. Right. And fortunately I'm in a good position because I think I'm with really good people. So, I'm not saying there's a specific time frame of like when it's a good idea to get an agent or whatever. I don't know, maybe a more experienced comic than me would know, but I know when it was a good time for me to get a manager at this point, and so on. So I think it's just kind of case by case.
So that's what's next. What's next for Paul?
Boy, I don't know, man. Try not to collapse inside my own insanity while these shows keep getting canceled. What's funny is I was supposed to be I was going to be headlining for 2 weekends in Indiana this weekend. So it's a bummer that I'm not a little closer to you guys, but yeah, I think right now I'm just trying to write more. I think there's going to be a whole lot of coronavirus stuff material when this comes out, and it really is just going to be like, it's going to be such a competition of who's got like the strongest stuff that isn't gonna just work right now during Zoom shows or right after, but like who's gonna have material that's like this is gonna be the timeless coronavirus material. That's something that Ralphie May talked about in his seminar. He's like, I worked hard when like a big event happened. I worked hard to make sure that my joke, my take on it was the best, so that everyone else felt like I can't write about it. So so I'm trying to have my own take my own path to writing stuff about that. But also, I mean, it's nice to have, I've got my next goal in mind, which is, it's working on the next album, which will hopefully parlay into a special or something like that. But, I'm more defined as a persona on stage than I was when I first started. So it's like, I know, okay, I'm not going to write this kind of joke because that's not who I am on stage. So there's, I'm going to write from this perspective. And that's something that I think my manager has just been super helpful with me, because he kind of really helps me stay narrowed on the focus of you can't write about this if you're writing about that. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm just working hard on that stuff. I mean, I put out a few videos, which I've never done before, which is a good thing. I wanted to, I needed to put more content out there, so people can share my stuff and find me. And that's both my stand-up clips and also just organic, brand new, sketches and stuff that I've done by myself. I'm just trying to stay flexible, because who knows how long this thing's gonna last.
Well, okay, cool. Well, jumping on that whole fact of writing too as well, we got Kyle Yamada, who actually performed here at Gutty's Comedy Club, who says your sets are very structured and tight. So it's do you have writers with you? Do you or I shouldn't say writers with you. What I meant to say was other comics to bounce off ideas. As far as your writing, as far as what is your process? Do you write it down? Do you go on stage? Do you write on stage? What is it that keeps that very structured and tight set that you obviously portrayed since Kyle?
Well, first of all, thank you, Kyle. That's nice of you to say. I grew up admiring George Carlin, and if you know his stuff. For 40 years, I don't think that guy said one time in all his albums. It was just bam, bam, bam. And yet he still made it feel like it was the first time he was saying it. Even if you knew it was, when he's doing his Modern Man bit, a 4-minute bit of just, this whole thing, and it's just it's like a poem. But it's man, this is just straight from the dome. It feels so organic. And so I guess that's just always what I thought, that's what the ideal comedian is, even though I don't necessarily do that. I like to have, I'll throw in an intentional or just to try to drive home hey, I want this to feel like this is the first time I'm saying it, or a little giggle or something. But I can just tell you what my actual process is. So usually I will have a goofy thought and think, hey, that's kind of funny. And I really probably won't even write it down yet. I'll just take it on stage the first time and just throw it out just to see how it feels. It won't be connected to anything. It won't be, there will be no segue. I'll just do this thing at the end of the set. I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, blah, blah, blah. And I'll just kind of see how it feels. And if I feel like it's got some, if it's got some guts, I might try to build around it. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of write it out on the old Google Doc. And my stuff always starts out looking like an essay.
Yeah.
And but that's fine, because I know that it's just the style that works for me. And then what I do is, I try to work it from there, and not necessarily memorize it, but really get the bullets so that I have the idea of because how I write it isn't going to be exactly how I end up saying it. Right. But then what I'll do is, once I kind of have that rhythm of okay, I think I see how this is structured, I'll write it out again, and then I'll highlight the jokes in green, and then the jokes that I really like in green, and then either like small jokes that aren't supposed to get a big laugh or jokes that maybe should get a bigger laugh, but they're not that great. I highlight in yellow, and then I just kind of take a look at the document and like, all right, there's a lot of white space between these green lines, and you really want it to be like that much space, and it just begin that's when like the process, when the fun really starts, because then you start like, okay, like there's a blank, there's a gap here, this is dead weight, I need to replace this. And that's like where like the real fun happens, because you just try stuff for just months, and finally it's like, oh my gosh, like of course here it is, and it just kind of works out from there. That's just my personal process. That, and I record everything on my phone so I can listen to all the unfunny stuff as the bit progresses.
So let me ask you this then. It was about a year ago, maybe a little bit longer. I don't remember exactly when, but it's about a year ago that you were down here at Jokers when we first met. What significantly has changed to raise your game over the last year?
I think what has really significantly changed for me is the focus of, but from like April until November, the focus was the album, and then since from November till when the world got canceled, the focus was, hey, like start all over, assume everyone has heard your album. Now what are you going to do? And that's obviously it's not the case. I don't have to burn that material. I'm not Jim Jeffries. Like, my fans have not heard all my stuff. So, but I like to challenge myself. Like, okay, like day one, like start all over. What do you got? So, I think that has changed the focus, but also understanding like who I am on stage and what I'm trying to accomplish, and the kind of laughs I'm trying to get, the kind of comic I want to be, and then trying and being more meticulous of like, why is that joke working? Why exactly is that joke working? That, and I'll think like, that joke is exactly who I want to be as a comic. Why is that? Why, not just what is the funny like swear word that got the laugh? What is the reason that that's funny coming from me? And I think like honing in on that has been pretty instrumental in me sort of like, because my manager he tells me, like, dude, it's so much easier to write from a character, and I do have a persona on stage that is it's like a heightened version of who I am, like The Rock or Dwayne Johnson. He says that everything that he was as The Rock in the ring, that was him just dialed up to 100. And so, when I'm off stage, I'm much more, I'm just a very, I think, regular dude, and I'm, pretty humble, but on stage, like, yes, I'm boisterous and like, I'm cocky, and I have fun.
Not the fact that you're like, what, 6'9"?
Yeah, 6'7". It's a lot.
So that's commanding already. When you go up on stage, it's almost like, whoa, this mug is about to, go to. It's like you command it just by your presence.
And that's why, like, I can't go up and like, well, couldn't get a date the other day. It's like, dude, like, first of all, I'm engaged, so I can't. It doesn't matter. But like, this stuff, like, I can't talk about, oh yeah, man, I cannot stop going to McDonald's. Like, dude, like, come on, man, you're like a tall, slim guy. Like, no one cares that you like enjoy fast food too much. It doesn't show up, So it seems like obvious now, but it wasn't to me for so long, that like there's certain like things that just, a great joke, but it could be a great joke for somebody else, but not you, Right.
Well, and I think it's an important thing for you to ask that question. Why is this joke working so well? Because then you can use that to replicate for other bits. I mean, the material may be about a different topic, but if you understand what it was that was helping you, make that so funny. I think that one of the things I encourage students when I'm teaching comedy college, I also want them to ask, who's that joke for?
Yeah.
I mean, is it it's because sometimes you write jokes because they're for you.
Yeah.
And if you do them well, that's okay. But then there's that other purpose for, there's people that you kind of have this this image of a person, of somebody that you're writing that joke for, because you want them to experience the great laugh. And so you got to ask those questions, because that'll help you hone the material, and then you can leverage that same focus when you're writing new material to pile in around the stuff that you just did. So I think that's two important questions. Why is this working so well, and who's this joke for?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's helped me like tremendously, because I have, especially now that like I've got the album, and I'm like, okay, like what are my favorite jokes from my own album? It's like, okay, well, why do I like them?
Right.
And then it's like, all right, they got, are they the biggest laughs? Some are, some aren't, but like they're the ones that I think I want. Like those are the kind of laughs that I want to get, and they are in keeping with like what I'm trying to present on stage, and just really like trying to write from that. And if it's a little more whatever, if it's a little more esoteric or something, then that's fine. But that's what's helping me currently. Yeah,
That's dope. That
Well,
is dope.
I know we don't want to keep you too long, because I know during this COVID lockdown you have so much going on.
Yeah, exactly. Boy, I really can't believe I've given up 55 minutes of my afternoon when I could be doing so much else. Could be throwing a new coat of gray on the wall behind me, man.
Putting out a few more trophies,
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, yeah. I never thought my dog would get like tired of me. He's like, again? I'm like, come on, just around the block. He's like, oh my gosh, all right.
Exactly.
My dog is kind of looks at me like, hey, you always yell at me when I run to the window to see what's going on, and yet you're doing it all the time. So
yeah, I know now he and I, because I work from home for my day job anyway, so like but I never go anywhere at night now, so that's the difference. And now like when my fiance comes home, we're both like, oh my god, she's here. I think she's that's her car. I know it's her.
My dog got mad at me the other day when he caught me licking my feet, though, because he was like,
Hey, wait a second.
that's gross. Stop it. That's my job. I don't know. So
Practice what you preach.
anyway, let me ask you, what words of advice or challenge would you have for those comics that may be watching the podcast either now live or when we have it on YouTube? What kind of challenge or words of advice would you have for those comics that are saying, wow, Paul's he's got something going on, I want to go after something like that? What do you got for them?
I think two things come to mind. Number one is some advice I got from a comic out. He's down in LA now doing big things. And I think the dude's about to blow up. His name is DJ Sandu. Hilarious comic. You probably see him, like he's a clean cut dude, but he's got this huge beard.
Yeah.
Glorious. It's just a glorious beard. And I remember when I was really kind of first starting out, it was like my first time inside the Sacramento Punchline, and I was in the green room, and he comes in, and I know he's like a local legend, and I was like, wow, this guy's, and he's like kind of talking to I could tell he's talking to a comic, and DJ is just like getting so like irritated, and he's just rolling his eyes. He gets out the phone, and I'm not going to ask him, like it's not my business, but he unsolicitedly just like looked at me. He was like, Paul, I'm going to give you two things you need to succeed in comedy. And I'll censor it because this is what he said. He was like, be funny and don't be an a-hole. And he was like, it is so much harder than you think. And honestly, like that is like, listen to bookers, listen to you guys know, like, like I could be the funniest guy or girl that you've ever seen walk into your club. If they are tough to deal with, you'll move on. There are other funny people out there. You can get another hilarious person. But if you're like, if you're rude to the staff, you're disrespectful, if you're getting trashed before your sets, if you're just bombing because you don't like, if you're like disrespecting the venue, like you will never ever make it as far as you could if you were just being, good. Because I have a reputation for being a really like nice, respectful dude, like because I know what the alternative is. I mean, I have to be as funny and as professional as possible. That's the thing, and that which leads me to like the second piece of advice, which is, like, this is a job. This is like a real job. It's the funnest job in the world, I think, if you get to a certain point. But I mean, I'm still enjoying the journey up the stairs, but you have to take it seriously, man. Like there are so many guys that they're just like, yeah, of course we're never gonna make it in comedy. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna. So exactly. I'm not going to really mess with that mindset. That's not really for me, And I think like you really, comedy is it's a very cynical business. We're all like, people get down on themselves, or they're just, they're bummed out. Like careers take forever. People never blow up. They just don't make it for one reason or another. But I can't allow myself to like fall into that mindset, because I know I don't survive in that mindset. I'm a pretty positive person as far as things go. And I just think you need to, if you want to do this as a living, and I still have my day job. So I'm like not talking to you from the other side of the fence. If you're like, if you're a showcase or an open mic comic and I'm still like, I released an album, and I was watching like people share it, and like, this is a great album, you should listen to it. And I was like, I was doing my job, my day job. I was writing emails for my day job while the greatest, like biggest accomplishment of my life was happening. I was still trying to finish up my day job stuff. But so, I mean, but if you ever want to make it, man, you have to take it so seriously. I mean, it is a job, and you are the product. You're an entrepreneur, and you're selling yourself, and you start all over every time you go on stage.
That's good, every single
time.
And you got to, and that's the thing that I keep saying to young comics. You got to hustle.
Yeah.
Whether you have a day job to support your comedy habit, or if comedy is your main gig, you've got to hustle.
Yeah.
No matter what, you've got to hustle. And if you're hustling and you're working on producing a good product, and like you say, if you are the product, you got to continue to improve everything about you and your material and all of that, so that you're having a better product every time you go out.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid if you have to have a day job. I know there's people are like, well, I got to get rid of that day job. Man, I wish I'd have held on to mine a lot longer. I wouldn't have had 2 ulcers.
No,
because the stress that comes from that. But
yeah,
you gotta hustle. Yeah,
that's absolutely true.
Exactly. I have a full-time job, and I'm an owner of a comedy club. So it's like, you have to still hustle no matter what. You got to put out good material. It's the product, it's the brand. And there are going to be nights where you got to work till 2 a.m. You got to work till 2 a.m. You got to hustle if you believe in what you're doing and believe what you're creating. And to piggyback off what you're saying, dude, we book comics, and yes, you make sure that you're professional in what you're doing, because it's not just about you telling jokes. It's about how you conduct yourself. And in being in that, we created this product through Gutty's Comedy Club to be a clean comedy club. We also want to make sure that the product that we're producing is also according to what we want to get out there. So if you are willing to work with us, we definitely will work with you. But at the same time, we talk to other clubs as well. Hey, have you worked with Paul Conyers? And they're like, yeah, he's a jerk. No, I'm never going to work with him again. Well, then that kind of puts the whole dynamic into place. And it's almost like it might it might influence, but at the same time, you got to be careful because if they keep telling you, if we keep hearing from other people, this guy's hard to work with, why would we want to even bother? So it plays together.
And you guys, I mean, I've talked to bookers. I know you guys talk to each other. You all talk. You know, you're competitors, but at the same, I mean, like you need the club 30 miles down the road to be successful just as much as they need you to be successful. So you guys are going to trade, you know, like tricks and industry secrets and but most especially like who should you be working with? And I tell you what, I mean, you guys can tell me if this is wrong, but you're more likely to give a comic a chance if a booker was like, ooh, yeah, he didn't have it that night, rather than someone that you heard like he was a jerk that night. I mean, bad sets happen, but man, if you are just a rude person, then that just like that, then you're like, all right, well, that's just the kind of person that you are. And is it like completely fair? No, but don't put yourself in that position. Right. And the thing is that, like, you know, going back to like the hustling, like bookers and producers, which includes other comics, because we produce our own shows for all the young comics out there. The veterans on your scene can spot someone that's hustling and someone who's lazy from a mile away. They know it. They'll know it if they keep seeing you and they keep seeing you working, then you're going to get more opportunities. If you're showing up like every 2 weeks and you got like the same jokes, the same stuff that's just not working, then you can't do anything for you. I mean, I started out doing comedy in 2016, and you know, I would still go to mics like, you know, up until everything ended, and I would see guys that were open mic comics when I first started, and the same jokes. How on earth are you doing the same jokes 4 years later? Same tags that didn't work in 2016. That, I mean, you are pesticide to the garden of comedy. Like you're not growing.
You're killing it. Yeah. Here's a benefit that we have here at Gutties is the fact that Dennis and I, we do comedy.
Yeah.
So we know the hustle, right? So we know what it is, what it takes to get there. Now there are a few comics that have come to Gutties and they put in the work, and because they put in work, we put them on stage. And there are comics that are out there upset, like, why is he on stage? Why did you put him? Because they hustle. Every time they came to an open mic, they tried a new joke. They try and they're progressing, and because of that, you get blessed. Why wouldn't you want to go on stage when you see that you got a tight 10 now that works for what we're doing in the show? Why wouldn't I put him up? I don't care if he's done it for 4 months or 15 years. If you're progressing and it's getting solid and you're getting solid laughs, I'm gonna put you on stage because I appreciate the art. I appreciate comedy as a whole, not just because you're a 10-year veteran and this guy over here is 3 months. This guy over here 3 months is making me laugh more harder than what you did in 10 years. So as long as you're doing your job as a comic, we'll give you work. And especially under the rules and guidelines that we have at our room, and you're willing to work with us, dude, why wouldn't I put you up there? Why wouldn't I bless you with some time and some money in your pocket?
Yeah, right. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, bookers aren't just like the guys that never answer your emails. Like, you guys are real people on the other side of that computer that, no one, I don't think anyone's ever opened a comedy club because they hate comedy and they hate comedians. Like, you guys want to, like, why wouldn't it be like the coolest thing that you do with your day to like put someone up and give them that shot and they shine? Like, that's exactly what you get in the business for, right? And then and obviously, like, you need good comics to make you money. So like, people like bookers want to help comics, but they've got to see it from you, and that's where it comes from. It's from the hustling, the follow up, the professionalism, the hard work, and then you should probably get a few laughs every now and then. Can't really stress that part enough.
That
You can be a really nice guy, and they're like, "Man, I love you," but your jokes,
work on it.
Anytime you need a job,
right? Exactly.
I say it to comics all the time. You have 3 basic jobs as a comedian. Your first job, be funny. Your second job, be likable.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be a jerk. Be likable. And your third job is to have fun.
Yeah.
Because if you're up there having fun, the audience is going to have fun. And if you're funny and you're having fun, the audience is going to go home. They're going to talk about how great that show was. And if you're not a jerk, they're going to talk about how great that show was and how much they love that comic.
Yeah.
And if you can do those three things at the same time, the sky is the limit.
Yeah. That's sort of like the evolution of like the advice that DJ gave me. The third part is have fun. Like you gotta love this, man. Like
right.
You gotta
have fun. It's miserable.
You gotta love every bit. You gotta kind of love every bit of it. The bombing and the driving to shows in the middle of nowhere and not getting the answers back. This is all. It's all part of it, man. And I just I think if you just kind of if you've got your focus and you just like you put in the mindset of like, dude, I know I'm gonna make it. Like there's the only if something happens to me, then probably not. But as long as like I'm alive and able to perform, I'm gonna make it. So what do I care if I bomb at a show once or twice? Like it's just gonna be a fun story later. My favorite story to tell right now is the story of when I bombed so hard I quit comedy for 6 years. But it's the thing that haunted me for those 6 years. But now I love it. So
they got you in, right?
Exactly. And it's like it makes you appreciate everything.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it's funny because people will say to me, hey, what do you do? Well, I'm a comedian. Oh, that's your job? I said, no. Well, what's your job? Well, my job, I travel.
Yeah.
Because that's the work.
Yeah, right.
For me to get in an airplane and fly to do a show, that's the job.
Yeah. No, I think,
I don't really enjoy that much. And quite honestly, that's what people pay for.
Right.
If they're like, hey, we want you to come to Minot, North Dakota, well, that show is going to be a $10,000 show because I don't want to go to Minot, North Dakota. Yeah. Right. So now I'll come if I'm in Minot, North Dakota, I'll do the show for free because I love doing shows. I love doing comedy. I'll do that for free. But for me to travel up there, you're going to pay.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
yeah, I can't.
Anyway, we want to thank you so much for taking time to sit down with us, and I know we kind of joke about the fact that because the world's on timeout, you didn't have much else to do.
Yeah.
But we want to thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. If somebody wants to learn more about you, they want to learn more about getting the album, downloading the album, whatever it may be. How do people find you, and where do they need to go to get your album?
Yeah, so if you go to just paulconyers.com, the homepage just has links to like where you can either buy it on Apple Music, Spotify, or Amazon. So it's all right there. And then if you've got like Apple or Spotify already, just search me and it comes up there. And you can follow me on Instagram at Paul Conyers, just same way it's spelled on the screen. And then I mean usually I love hitting the road, and so hopefully when all this is done, I'll be in your guys' neck of the woods. I know we've talked about doing some stuff and getting into Gutties. I would love to, man. So
we'll have you.
Yeah, I love the Indiana scene. You guys are fun. So I know not to park anywhere, but
we got free parking, so you're good.
I was gonna say you come to Greenwood to Gutties, it's free parking. We don't have people getting towed. So.
Covered.
Unless you forget to put your tag on. If you don't put your tag on, they'll pull you.
It's a whole world of trouble. It doesn't make a difference to the guy on the street, that the cop that was towing us. He doesn't care whether you're parked in a bad spot or your sticker's gone. He doesn't care. He just lives to tow.
That's what's up.
Well,
man.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and it's been great catching up with you a little bit. And kudos to you and the new album. Hope it's crazy successful. And the next time we talk, we'll be talking about you, having your platinum album out there.
Right. When you get to Netflix and all that stuff, then we'll have you back on.
That'd be cool. I could say it all started on a Gutties online podcast show. So
That's what's up.
Well, we like to do our part. So
yeah.
anyway,
I appreciate you guys having me, man. Thank you so
All right, no
much.
problem,
That was
man.
awesome,
thanks so
Have a
much,
good one.
man.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Later.
All right. Bye.
Well, that's what's up, man.
So yeah, he's coming along and doing great things, and it's exciting to see that he's having some success. For me, the older I get, I know I look back and okay, it was a year ago we got to hang out with him, and here he is,
Man, still
got an
hustling.
album out. He's doing great things, and so
Progress.
it's fun to see that happen.
It's to see the progress, man. When you see the work being done and how hard he's hitting the stage, you see the progress. You see and not only that, but he's also entering into the World Series of Comedy. Like he is in the scene in San Francisco, and also he is in the scene as far as getting involved in the World Series of Comedy. When you see that hustle, man, you can't help but to encourage and just be a part of it. Now, if you're a fan of comedy, obviously, is not necessarily. He does both clean and also he does other blue material too as well. You're a fan of comedy, you definitely want to follow him because he does have some great material that's hilarious. And so you want to follow him online too as well.
Well, I want to say this because I don't want to gloss over it real quick.
Yeah.
The fact that Paul is doing things with World Series of Comedy and other places, other festivals and stuff.
Yeah,
those events, they're not about winning. Although he has been successful in third place in this latest contest is a pretty good result. But it really is about the networking and getting to know people and making connections, because he said it tonight. That's where he met the team that he signed with that helped him get his first album out. And they've got it put out there, and they're helping get him a broader scene. And so, quite honestly, if you get a chance to check out World Series of Comedy, we're trying to do some stuff with them for some events coming up in the future. But by all means, take advantage of the opportunities to engage and to learn and get exposure and make connections and networking, because those things, World Series of Comedy and other festivals like that, they are an important part of seeing you get opportunities that you don't have right now.
Right. Don't give up on it. Comedy is still alive. It's alive and well, and it's still going to be pushing and pumping, man. Everybody needs it. And so get out there, be professional. Like Paul said, don't be mean. Don't do anything bad to mess up the product that is you. So if you're a comic out there and you're hustling, keep hustling. Get yourself involved in other stuff. Make sure that you adapt to your environment. Be innovative in what you do. Create some funny stuff and some funny content. You never know. The next person out there is looking for the next funniest writer, comedian, whatever, and they'll see your piece and want to connect with you. So you definitely want to hook that up. Make sure that you get on top of that. Man, it was good. I love the whole everything that he brings. He's always bringing some good stuff to the table. I just appreciate comics that hustle, man. I love seeing them grow. Yeah. And then for him to get the opportunity to come here once we get things rolling, man, it's gonna be great. He definitely is a treat to have. So I can't wait to get him on Gutty's stage too.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to have him roll through to Gutty's because the last time that he was here, Gutty's wasn't open. We were in the process of getting that happening, and so it'll be a pleasure to have him come grace our stage, and it'll be a treat for everybody at Gutty's to experience Paul in person. I talk about him as Tall Paul because dude is tall.
Like we should have been. He should just go ahead and sign up for the Kings. He got the Sacramento Kings. I mean, might as well just go ahead and try out, bro, because that mug is tall. So, but still, we can have him up and have fun. Let's do a quick shout out. We got Drew saying what's up to Gutty's Comic Club. Hey, Drew, Can't wait to see you back at Gutties once we get Laugh Sabbath going too as well. We also got Kyle Yamada, who's like, he loves Paul's stuff. We appreciate you too, Kyle, for showing up at Gutties Comedy Club as well. We got Silas. Thanks for showing up and watching us too as well. And then we got Kiki. What's up, Kiki? Kiki was when she worked at Dollar General next to Gutties Comedy Club. We miss you too as well, man. That was fun. She was really cool.
They need her back.
Yeah.
Because like they've had a couple of times when I've wanted to go next door to the club and get something to drink or whatever, and they got to had to close up early because they didn't have staff. So get back here. It's time for you to get back here.
Nicole needs some help. That's all good.
Yeah, they're doing.
We miss you too.
They're good neighbors, and we want them to be successful so that I can go next door to get stuff to drink when I need something.
Great stuff. Yeah, I'm glad that they were able to weather the storm too as well, man. I can't wait to get back on stage. All right, so everybody who's watching, make sure that you download the mobile app. Gutties Comedy Club can be found in the Android store, the App Store as well. Download it so you can get advance tickets to the reopening of Gutties Comedy Club May 29th and the 30th. You don't want to miss this show. We got Joe Bates is going to be here. Great, hilarious, funny comedian that we got here. We also have Hoss Ridgeway. Come on, you can't miss that. And also the very funny Jake Rubel. You guys can't miss that show too as well. Tell your friends, tell everybody, but listen, let them know too as well. It's limited to only 40 seats.
Limited seating, so you better get on that app and download that and get your tickets now.
Tickets. Yeah, you want to make sure you get on top of that. And if you haven't checked it out yet, we have what's called Gutties Tubies that are available for pre-order. They're coming in and they'll be here available for you too as well. So if you put your order in, we'll be able to bless you with the Gutties Tubie. What that is basically you can cover your face. It's a face mask and it has the Gutties logo on it that you can pretty much rock Gutties Comedy Club.
Yeah, you can be safe and stylish.
In style. We appreciate you. We want you to be safe, and we want to let you know too as well. We're getting the club ready too as well, so the club's going to be safe as well, so you can come and enjoy some live comedy that we have been missing. So make sure you do that, but you can also donate to Gutties Comedy Club as well. Those of you who have already done it with your prayers, with your support, with your text messages, also with your finances, we appreciate every single one of you big time. We wouldn't be able to reopen if it weren't for you guys. We thank you so much for your love and support as always, because Gutties is not here for just us, but for you as well. And so we appreciate you guys big time.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much for being part of the team, because let's be honest, we've got a little light at the end of the tunnel with them saying that we can go to 50% at the end of the month. And so, we talked about the 29th and the 30th shows, and then we've got the Gutties Gumbo coming that first weekend in June, and that's going to be. Well, we got some great shows coming, but even then, the fact that we only can sell 40 tickets per show, it still tightens things, and it's going to be a little difficult for things for the foreseeable future until COVID goes away completely. If you can spare a little extra, whether it's $1 or $2 or a couple $1 million, it doesn't. What we don't put anything specific out there, but if you can help us just a little bit, go to GuttiesComedyClub.com/gift and continue to support us, because we're not out of the woods yet. It's going to take some time, and we need your help. So please continue to help us, and thank you so much. Man, thank you for what you've done already to make sure that we didn't have to just pack up and close the place. We're here. We're ready to provide good, clean, family-friendly entertainment, top-shelf shows, because you have been there on our team, and we thank you for that so much. So, hey, the other thing that I'm going to ask you to do is go down here someplace. I don't know where it is. Someplace there's a subscribe button.
Hit that bell so that you
subscribe to what we do. Give us that thumbs up and let us know you like what we're doing. And if you make comments, it just tell us if there's something you want to see happen. If there's somebody you want to see us bring in for the Pops and the Rican show, whatever, let us know. We want to do what we can to bring good quality entertainment for you, whether it's in the club or here online. We want to make sure we're doing everything we can for you. So please, again, subscribe, give us the thumbs up, and leave us comments and let us know what we can do to improve. And we'll do what we can. Now, if the comment says get rid of the old man, I might have to ignore that one. I don't know.
Delete it.
I might have to just ignore because Kiki, she's very nice, but she might say get rid of the old man. I don't know.
Nah, I don't think so, bro.
I doubt it though, because she was way too nice for something like that. Now, your brother, he might. I don't know. Just because he wants you to get all the glory and all.
He loves Pops.
Well, hey, I think that was it was a great show, and I think it's about time now for us to wrap things up. Am I right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So I guess at the end of the show, I'm still Pops, right?
Yeah, and I'm the Rican.
And this has been
the Pops and the Rican show.
All right.
Deuces. Pops and the Rican.
Pops and the Rican.
Look at this.
Pops and the Rican.
The Pops and the Rican.
The Pops and the Rican.
Look at the top of his head.
Pops and the Rican.